Similar to the two videos we made yesterday, we're going to be going over what are the 3 best LMGs that are currently inside Vanguard's multiplayer. We're going to be taking a look at the stats for these weapons and letting you know which ones are the best. If you enjoy weapon comparisons and weapon breakdowns, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel as well. We have posted tons of Vanguard content already over there as well, but like I said, this video is all about the LMGs. Now, before we get into all the details, I just want to show you a couple of quick things. So when it comes to magazine attachments, if you do choose certain mag attachments, it actually changes the damage profile of your LMG, which we have taken into consideration when we're doing our testing and stats. Most of the stats were taken from the game because they are pretty much accurate at this point anyway. Some attachments are broken though, so there is that too. But as you can see here, if you flick through the different magazine attachments, some of them do change the damage profile. So this one reduces the damage down to 19. This one leaves the damage at 24. And then this attachment here will bring the damage to 32. The only other attachments that do affect damage is the barrel attachments. Some barrel attachments do change the damage profile depending on which LMG you use. For this case, there isn't one, but in some of the other LMGs there is. So of course it wouldn't be a stats-based video if we didn't have some kind of spreadsheet. And of course, similar to yesterday's videos, what we did is we took the rate of fire, the base damage, and the vital damage, which is essentially headshot damage. We've plugged them all in here, and we've worked out a base TTK for the base damage, of course. And then we've got the shots to kill as well as the DPS if you want that as well. And as you can see, we've color coded all the weapons. We've got the Bren with all its different ammo types, the DP27 again with the ammo types, MG42, and the Type 11 as well. What we're going to do now is order it in terms of TTK, because TTK is quite important, especially inside this game. You can pretty much die super quick because some attachments are just so broken in this game right now. The actual TTK of this weapon, we're looking at the top 3 fastest killing SMG. So we've got the Bren with the 50 BMG ammo, you've got the DP27 with the 30.06 ammo, and then we've got the MG42 with the anti-material ammo as well. And as you can see, the TTKs are right here. So for the Bren, it's 121 milliseconds, which is ridiculous. Again, it's a 2-shot kill. We've kind of seen this with some of the SMGs as well as the assault rifles. Some of them do have like a 2-shot kill, which is pretty stupid to be fair. Then we've got the DP27, which is 165 milliseconds, which is a 3-shot kill. And then we've also got the MG42, which is 178 milliseconds, which is a 4-shot kill. So what we have now is the Bren LMG. We're going to do a recoil test for all 3 of these LMGs with what I believe to be the best builds, to be completely honest. What we're going to do is stand this kind of distance away, then we'll fire at this wall, and then we'll try and control it as well if we can. So first of all, we'll start off with the Bren here. As you can see, the ammo, the mag, blocks like half of your screen, which again, I don't really know why they've done this for almost every gun. There's at least one gun in every category that does that, but it's really annoying at this point. So we'll fire this off and see what it looks like. Yeah, so as you can see, the Bren's recoil is ridiculously bad. It doesn't matter how much you try and control this, and if you stack all the recoil controlling attachments on this gun, it still has really bad recoil. And if you don't believe me, you can test it in a private game yourself. Launch it in a private game, put on all the recoil controlling attachments or the accuracy attachments, and it will still come out with a really bad recoil pattern, but we'll try and control it anyway. Right, okay, as you can see, it just bounces about all over the place. And like I said, this is with what I believe to be the best build. So now we have the MG42, and we'll do the exact same test again with this weapon, see what the recoil looks like, and then also we'll try and control it. So as you can see, I don't need to fire the full mag, but as you can see, it's pretty accurate, to be completely honest. Now, there is a lot of side-to-side bounce, but a lot of the bullets are very tightly packed together, like extremely packed together. So even if you're not controlling the recoil in this gun, you're still going to be landing a lot of shots. But let's try and pull down. This gun is very accurate, by the way. So there is a little bit of side-to-side bounce, of course, but that's kind of a given because it is an LMG. But like I said, that's not a lot of recoil at all when it comes to an LMG like this, and considering it has one of the fastest TTKs in the game, it's definitely a solid weapon. So like I said, that is a pretty good recoil pattern. And then we'll look at the DP. So again, we're going to be doing without controlling the recoil. So it's kind of got a weird recoil pattern, to be completely honest. It kind of goes up and then it stops at a certain point and it kind of goes side to side. So it goes up here and then it kind of stops. But let's try and control this. So we're going to pull down into the right a little, I suppose. So once it stops, it's actually very easy to control. You don't even really need to do much to control it at all, actually, but it's still relatively accurate. There is a bit of side to side on this. As you can see, it kind of goes across, which it kind of does here too. But these two LMGs are definitely easier to control overall, even though it does look like it's got a crazy recoil pattern. They're actually not too bad when you're actually playing in game. So one thing I do want to mention regarding LMGs overall before we move on is that LMGs don't have an issue with accuracy. Now, True Game Data's made a video all about this, and I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video because I do believe it's very important. And basically, the accuracy stat is different to recoil. So what accuracy means is when you see this kind of reticle here and you fire, when it comes to an LMG, you're pretty much firing on that same spot every single time. You can see that I'm going to hit this chimney all the time. And that's the case for most of the LMGs, but if you have an assault rifle or an SMG, even though you're aiming right here, your bullets might get fired here, or here, or here, for example. Within a certain radius, it's going to actually spread. It's going to actually still have spread, which is pretty ridiculous. No other COD games had this before, and assault rifles and SMGs do have it. So that is one benefit of using LMGs over assault rifles. So when it comes to the best builds and the 3 best LMGs now, I don't really think the Bren makes a list in any way, shape or form. Even if you do change some of the attachments on this, for example, it then lowers the TTK of the gun, not making it the fastest killing LMG anymore. This is the ammunition type that's actually giving it the fastest possible TTK. And then I also just threw on the damage barrel too. Now, even though it affects your recoil, if you try and use even the most recoil controlling barrel, which is this one right here, the Scepter barrel, it still doesn't really help the recoil all that much, but it also reduces your damage too. So like I said, it's not really going to help all that much at all. Even if you try and do a full recoil control build on the Bren, it doesn't really do anything. So I don't think this really makes the top 3 list in my opinion. The MG42 is definitely the second best LMG in the game. The recoil is solid and it has the 3rd best TTK when it comes to all of the LMGs. So if we look at the best build, and I'll show you another build that is quite good as well for this weapon. We've got the Mercury silencer for the sound suppression and the recoil control. We then have the Model 47 optic, which is just the optic I use for all the testing. It just makes it a lot easier to see. I'm using the S91MG stock, and that is to help with that horizontal recoil, and it also gives you a slightly faster aim down sight time with only a slight con to your movement speed. Efficiency, we actually use the tight grip, and that is when you're firing over a long duration of time, it's going to control the recoil a little bit better, which is definitely something you want to use, especially if you don't get any cons with it as well, so you definitely want to use that. I'm using fully loaded for the kit, but you can use absolutely anything you want here. It doesn't really matter too much. For rear grip, we were using the fabric grip, and that's to get slightly faster aim down sight times and slightly faster sprint to fires. It does con your horizontal recoil a little bit, but most of the attachments we used already help the recoil. You do need to use that anti-material rounds, and that is so you get that faster TTK that we showed you at the start of the video. Then with the last couple of attachments, you can choose some different options here. So if you do want to go for a barrel, I highly recommend going for the 31 barrel, which is going to help with recoil. Now it actually reduces the recoil even further than what we've seen earlier in the video. The reason why I never put it on the build is that it makes your hipfire accuracy absolutely ridiculous, and it also cons your sprint to fire even more, and it kind of makes the gun less usable because you're not able to get your gun up in time to fire against enemies. So I didn't want to use it because the recoil was already relatively manageable in the first place. But if you really struggle with the recoil still on this weapon, I don't know how you would, then you can use this barrel. It definitely helps the recoil a lot. Now when it comes to the underbarrel, we are using the M1 M1 hand stop, and this is going to help with that horizontal and vertical recoil control. It says it helps with accuracy as well as recoil control. Now, when it comes to LMGs, like I said, accuracy is not too important. LMGs already have that good accuracy. The recoil control you do need, so you could actually get away with the carver foregrip and help yourself with hip fire accuracy as well, but this gives you a con to aim down sight time. That's why I stayed away from that one. So like I said, this is the best build in my opinion for the MG42. Now, when it comes to the first best LMG in the game, and I'm going to give this to third place as well, and I know it sounds really weird, but if you equip any magazine attachment for the DP27, you're actually going to get still a relatively quick TTK. If you look back to the spreadsheet, which I'll leave a link in the comment section and the description, by the way, if you want to go through that and play around with it yourself. But you do need to use these mags here. That's the 3006 mags to get that fastest possible TTK. There's an 81 round option as well, but I don't really think that's all that necessary. We're also using the hollow point rounds for the increase to limb damage, which is just going to give you that more consistent TTK. We're using the M1 hand stop recoil control under barrel as well. Again, you can use the carver foregrip if you don't mind conning your ADS a little bit there. I'd rather not with an LMG, so that's why I went for this one. Mercury silencer once again for the recoil control and the sound suppression. Then I did use the Model 47 once again, fabric grip for the faster aim down sight speed, sprint to fire as well. It only cons your recoil horizontally a little bit, so it's not too bad. Then we went for the hard scope proficiency. This is going to help. It's going to help you be on target a lot more, and again, it's got no cons, so it's definitely worth just using this attachment. Some of these are pretty broken, to be honest. For the kit, we use fully loaded. You can choose whatever you want here. Like I said, it doesn't really matter for this. For the stock, we used the ZAC stock, and that is so it helps with that horizontal recoil control, and it also gives you a slightly faster ADS time as well, which is very handy. When it comes to barrels, you don't necessarily need a barrel on this weapon. It doesn't really adjust the damage profile. I'll definitely stay away from any barrels that con recoil like this one. Conning hipfire accuracy and getting some extra accuracy and bullet velocity and range is not too bad, but I'd rather have a little bit better hipfire accuracy, to be perfectly honest, because you don't really need a barrel on this gun. The recoil is very easy to manage, and this is the best build for the DP27, and this is the best LMG in the game. So realistically, from this video, there are only 2 good LMGs to use from what we've went over so far. Like I said, we're trying to balance TTK as well as recoil, but if you want to use something with lower recoil, you could pick another LMG if you wanted to. But if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to sub to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and click that link in the description and subscribe to our second channel. We've posted tons of content over there as well, and thank you very much for watching.